Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So we have come to the very end of the chapter force. The last topic that remains is friction. Now, what is friction? Whenever one surface, this is one surface, this is another surface. One surface tries to move over another surface, you can see that it is not easy. A little bit resistance is being offered, right? A little bit of obstacle, like you want to go forward, but something is not letting you to go forward. Like, what is that something? That something is friction. Okay, friction is the force that always opposes the motion of an object. Okay, now if we see that, let us say we have a box on the road. Okay, on the road we have a box. Now if I want to pull this box, okay, I know that if the floor is slippery, listen carefully, if the floor is slippery, I can easily pull the box. But if the floor is not slippery, rough, then what will happen? It will be difficult for me to pull it, right? So there is
Yes,
something
sir.
different. There is something different in case of a smooth surface, that is the slippery surface, as I was mentioning. That one we can say that a smooth surface, okay, and some between the smooth surface and the rough surface, right? There is something different. What is it? This is friction. In a smooth surface, the friction is very less. Almost sometimes we can consider some surface to be frictionless. If you remember, we already solved the creative related to it, right? One box was pulled on a frictional surface, and then we pulled the same box on a frictionless surface. So in case of frictionless surface, with the same amount of force, we can produce higher acceleration because there is no opposing frictional force, right? So I hope you got the concept. Okay, if you're trying to pull the box in that way, the friction will work in the opposite way. And if the box you are trying to pull it in this way, then the friction will be in the opposite direction. So in whatever direction you are trying to go to, according to that, the frictional force will be developed. Okay. Achha. Now there are several types of frictional force. Okay. I will mention them one by one, and inshallah I will try to explain it through example. Okay. The first one we have is a static friction. Now, static, this word you have to understand very properly because this will help you in HSC level also if you continue in the science stream. Okay. So, static, what is static? Static means something not moving. Oh, this one I guess this word you are already familiar with because in creative sometimes we say that the car is static. That means the car is not moving. So, static friction, what does that mean? Now let us say this is a surface that is, horizontal surface. What if I incline a little bit? That means if the surface is inclined a little bit, then what will happen? If you keep a box on it, two scenarios are possible. If
It will slide.
it will slide down or it will stay in its place. Now, what is the difference between them? Okay, the first case, when it will slide down, what can we say about the surface? Anything, any idea what can we say about the surface?
Like it is surface is slippery.
Very good. Slippery means smooth. Smooth means
Yes.
friction more or less.
It is not rough. Yeah, friction is more or less.
Yeah.
Sir,
But
the
in
angle
our
also matters, no?
Friction.
Very good. Angle also matters. Okay. Now let us say we keep on increasing this inclination. Okay. Now what will happen when we start to make it incline? It will not fall. After a certain amount of angle is made, then it will start falling. Now why it didn't fall before that angle? Because
Due to
of
gravity.
no, due to gravity it is falling, but it is not sliding. Why it is not sliding? Because of static friction. The friction that will not allow the object to move. We know that static means something is not moving. So static friction means the friction that does not allow the object to move, that forces the object to be stationary. That friction is called static friction. Okay, the object will not be moving. So this is the first type of friction. The second type type of friction we have sliding friction. The best example that I can think of is in the garden there are slides. The children slide over the slides, right? So
Yes.
between their fan and the slide, the friction that is acting, it is sliding friction. Now, this is quite similar to the static friction, but what is the difference? The difference is in case of a static friction, the body was not moving, but in case of sliding friction, the body is moving. There is friction, but still the body is moving. Okay, so this is the difference. The third type of friction that we can discuss about is rolling friction, and the best example is wheel. Okay, now let us say if the road is too slippery, then what will happen? The tire will, the car will find it hard to move forward, right? Slip খেয়ে যাবে চাকাটা বারবার, সামনের দিকে যাবে না. But if the road is rough, then what will happen? You can go forward easily, okay, due to the rolling friction. So you can see that if this is the road and this is the tire, okay, so it will roll down, see, okay. But if the surface is very much smooth, then when the tire is trying to rotate, what will happen? If it is smooth, then it will stay in its own place. You see, it will stay in its own place and it will rotate because it is slipping, right? But if there is friction on the road, then what will happen? It will be easily be going forward. The same thing we can imagine in case of walking. If the road is very slippery, generally in Bangladesh, in the malls, the floors are very much slippery. So we find it very hard to walk there because whenever we are trying to walk, our leg are getting slipped. Okay, so if it was a little bit more rough, not that much rough like an under construction road. No, okay, constructed road, it is smooth, but there is a little bit of friction using which we can actually walk on that. If it is too slippery, too much frictionless, then we cannot walk on it. Okay, so this is rolling friction. See, the tire is rolling over the road. Then the next one is fluid friction. Okay, let us say we have a bucket of water, and in the bucket of water I have left an iron ball. Now the iron ball will definitely go down, but it will not go down in the speed in which it would go down in the air. তুমি এর মধ্যে একটা iron ball ফেলবে, it will go down very fast. But in the liquid, if you leave the iron ball, it will go a little bit slower. That means there is something which is opposing the motion of the iron ball, right? What is it? This is fluid friction.
Atoms.
Yes, the fluid is offering a little bit of resistance to the iron ball. That is why it is called fluid friction. Now, another very good example of it is parachute. Okay, so when you jump from the aeroplane, okay, so people jump with parachute, right? Why do they use parachute? Because when you are falling down, definitely air is also a fluid. Okay, this might be something interesting to you because I think till now, whenever you used to hear fluid, you used to think about liquid, right? But fluid does not only include liquid, it includes gas also. Please remember this from now on today. Fluid, the definition of fluid is anything that can flow is fluid. So we can see that liquid can flow, so this is fluid. We know that gas can also flow, like air, it is a gas, right? So air flows.
Yes.
Okay, as the air flows, air is also a fluid. Remember this one. Okay, so fluid includes not only the liquid but also the gas. What about solid? Can solid flow from one place to another? No,
No,
It's not
you have
possible.
to apply some force on it. Okay, so yeah, so yeah, it is a fluid. Okay, while you are falling down through the air is a fluid. Fluid will offer you a certain amount of resistance, but your body area is very less, so less amount of friction is being offered. But what will happen if you open a parachute? It will open up a large amount of balloon, right? So then what will happen? The fluid friction will be more. So as the fluid friction will be more, it will resist your falling. As a result, you will fall slowly without getting hurt. Okay, so this is one very good example of fluid friction. Through the fluid, the parachute falls. What is that fluid? It is air. Okay, so Mostly, if you see these questions coming in the exam, it will be only for 2 marks or maybe 1 mark, like define a rolling friction. You will just write the definition, what you understand. It's written in your book only. I'm just trying to explain. You will, if you want, you can memorize the definition from the book itself, no problem. But remember, whenever you are asked to write the definition, don't stop after writing the definition. Put an example also. That makes it complete. Okay. So as I was saying, কেউ কিছু বলবা?
Sir, are there gases and air in other planets?
Actually, I don't have much knowledge about it, but as far as I know, there is no air. Okay, there is no air in other planets. If there was air, we would be able to breathe over there, right? But we see that whenever the astronauts are going to some other planet, they are using that, that astronaut suit in which the oxygen tank contains, which supplies them the oxygen to breathe. Okay, if there was air in other planet, I think we could have breathed there. Now, I'm not sure. Okay, honestly, I don't have much knowledge about it, but if you want, you can look over Google over it, and you can find other information also. Okay. Okay, so now we have discussed about all type of friction. Now, effect of friction on motion. Okay, you can see that there is an example of tires surface. Um, then the smoothness of the road, controlling motion and braking force. Okay, so এই জিনিসগুলোর উপরে ফ্রিকশনের মানে ইফেক্টটা অনেক বেশি। যেমন আমি তোমাকে যদি বলি যে কন্ট্রোলিং দ্য মোশন এন্ড ব্রেকিং, ব্রেকিং মানে হচ্ছে এই ব্রেকিং না, নট দিস ব্রেকিং, মানে ভেঙে ফেলার যে ব্রেক না, ওই ব্রেকিং ফোর্সের কথা বলতেছি না। আই এম টকিং অ্যাবাউট ব্রেকিং অফ কার। আমরা বলি না যে রাস্তায় যখন কোনো কিছু একটা সামনে দেখে আমরা ব্রেক মারি, ওই ব্রেকিং। তো ওই ব্রেকিং এর উপরে এই ফ্রিকশনের কি ইফেক্ট থাকতে পারে? So if the road is too much slippery, like what happens during the rainy season, after the rain the road is very slippery. That time you have to drive very carefully, because in the summer season the road is very dry and it is frictional. So as a result, what happens, whenever you see something suddenly and you press the brake instantly, the car stops, you can avoid the accident. But during the rainy season, what happens, the road is very slippery, you see something suddenly but you are running at a very high speed, so even though you press the brake immediately, the car will slide over the road and some accident might happen, right? So that is why during the rainy season, drive the vehicle at a very less speed. I hope I can follow that first, because আমার সাথে যারা, আমি যখন ড্রাইভ করি আমার সাথে যারা থাকে তারা অনেক ভয় পায়, স্পেশালি রেইনি সিজনে। ওরা বারবার বলে যে স্পিড কম করার জন্য, তারপরে আমার কাছে মনে হয় যে আমি স্পিড কমই চালাচ্ছি, বাট ফর দেম ইট ইজ ভেরি হাই। এনিওয়ে, আমি দোয়া করতেছি যাতে সবার আগে এটা আমি ফলো করি, দেন ইউ ক্যান ফলো ইট। হ্যাঁ বলো।
স্নোই সিজনেও তো এরকম হয় না, গাড়ির ফ্রিকশনটা লেস থাকে।
স্নো করতে দেখা যায় না, তো এই কারণে আসলে এটা বললাম না, বাট হ্যাঁ, ইয়েস, ইন দ্য উইন্টার কান্ট্রিজ, কোল্ড কান্ট্রিজ, দিস ইজ ট্রু। I have been to US and I have seen there the full road is covered with, even the car is not there. Where is the car? Okay, heavy snowfall occurs during the winter season. So that, and later when the snow melts, what happens? The roads are very slippery, and there is something called black ice. You will find it even stand on it. Okay, without falling, it will be very difficult for you to even stand without falling, let alone driving on that. Okay, ওটার উপর drive করতে গেলে তো শেষ, you will not be able to control the car. So that is why you have to drive very slowly. Okay, so as I was saying, if the surface is frictionless, very smooth, then what will happen? Even though you break it, you will not be able to avoid the accident, most probably. Okay, so so you can see that controlling the motion, it depends greatly on the friction of the road. Okay, তুমি same amount of brake apply করবা, but if the road is frictionless, then you will not be able to stop. আর যদি তোমার রোডের friction ভালো থাকে, then you will be able to stop easily. So you can see that controlling of motion depends on this. Okay, now the next topic we have is increase and decrease of friction. Okay, before that, I want to tell you a very important question that you will see occurring in exam for 2 marks. They will tell you to explain friction is a necessary evil. Okay, so what does this mean? Now this one is, the two part of this line is, contradictory. Necessary, that means something we need. Evil is something bad. So if it is something bad, then why we need it? Actually, it depends on the case. Okay, like in the big machinery factory, you will see that in the machine parts are in continuous friction with each other. So as a result, what happens? The machine deteriorates. Okay, the machine breaks down, or some part of it breaks down due to continuous friction between them. If you do not take care of it, I will tell you how to take care of it. Okay, so but if you do not take this into serious consideration, then what will happen? The machine will break down. Okay, so you see, friction is evil. Okay, this is something we don't need. And also due to the friction, a large amount of heat is produced inside the machine. Okay, and this heat energy is being converted from the energy we are providing. So definitely we are losing some energy as heat energy, which we cannot actually put into work. Inshallah, we will study about this when we when we study work power energy. Inshallah, okay. So friction is something doing harmful for us here. That is why we say that it is evil. But at the same time, friction is important to us, necessary to us. If there was no friction, you would not be able to hold anything. দেখো তোমার হ্যান্ড আর ফোন এটার মাঝখানে একটা ফ্রিকশন কাজ করতেছে বলে ইউ ক্যান হোল্ড ইট। ইফ দেয়ার ওয়াজ নো ফ্রিকশন হিয়ার, দেন এটা স্লিপ হয়ে তোমার হাত থেকে পড়ে যেত, তুমি কিছু ধরতেই পারছো না। And if there is no friction on the road, you will not be able to control your car. You will not be able to walk properly. তোমার পা বারবার স্লিপ হয়ে যাবে, তুমি পড়ে যাবা। দেখো তো, চিন্তা করে দেখো, if the floor is very slippery, then what will happen? হাঁটতে গেলেই তুমি একটু হইলে পড়ে যাবা। So you see, friction is necessary also. So that is why it is called, it is necessary evil. Okay, so আমি তোমাদেরকে এটা একটু বলে দিই, স্টাইলটা বলে দিই যে এই কোশ্চেনটার আনসার কিভাবে লিখলে সুন্দর হবে। অনেকে করে কি, প্যারাগ্রাফ হিসেবে লিখতে থাকে, ফ্রিকশন এই জন্য দরকার, এটা এটা দরকার, ফ্রিকশন আবার এটা ক্ষতি করে, এরকম এরকম গদ্য লেখার দরকার নাই। লিখবা সুন্দরভাবে, শর্টকাট। কিভাবে? যখনই বলবে ফ্রিকশন ইজ নেসেসারি ইভিল এক্সপ্লেইন, তো তখন এবার তোমরা কি করবা? লিখবা অ্যাডভান্টেজ, আনসারে লিখবে কি অ্যাডভান্টেজ অফ friction. Write 2 or 3 advantage. Okay, then disadvantage of friction. With just point আকারে 3টা disadvantage লিখবা, then এরপরে লাইনটা লিখে দিবা। So we can see that friction is necessary and it is harmful as at the same time, simultaneously. So that is why friction is called necessary evil. এভাবে সুন্দর মতো লিখবা। এভাবে লিখলে দেখা যাবে কি, you know that why friction is necessary, you know why friction is considered evil, so you will get full marks. Some people write, গদ্যের আকারে, প্যারাগ্রাফ আকারে লিখতে থাকে। পয়েন্ট আকারে লিখবা, that will increase your mark. Presentation has a great impact on the marking. Okay, so please improve your presentation. Okay, now let us get back to the previous topic, that is increase and decrease of friction. I explained this topic first because you have to know that sometimes we need the friction to increase because it has some advantage. If the friction is increasing, it is to our advantage. And sometimes if there is friction, it is harmful to us, we need to reduce it. ওকে, তো এই কারণে এটা আগে বলে দিলাম যে কেন মাঝে মাঝে এটা আমাদের ইনক্রিজ করা লাগতে পারে, কেন এটা মাঝে মাঝে ডিক্রিজ করা লাগতে পারে। ওকে, সামটাইমস ইট ইজ টু আওয়ার অ্যাডভান্টেজ এন্ড সামটাইমস ইট ইজ টু আওয়ার ডিসঅ্যাডভান্টেজ। সো এখন আমরা দেখবো যে কি কি উপায়ে ইনক্রিজ করা যায় ফ্রিকশন এবং কি কি উপায়ে ফ্রিকশন ডিক্রিজ করা যায়। ঠিক আছে, তো এগুলো আসলে যখন আসবে 2 মার্কের জন্যই আসবে ম্যাক্সিমাম, এবং সেটা কি করবা তোমরা পয়েন্ট আকারে লিখবা। যদি বলে যে লিস্ট আপ দ্য ওয়েজ টু ইনক্রিজ ফ্রিকশন, just write 2, 3 or 4. Okay, for 2 marks it's better to write 4. So here the points are given. See how to reduce the friction. Let us say we have machinery parts, due to friction it is getting deteriorated. Okay, it is harming the machine. So that is why why we need to reduce the friction. Now, how can we do it? We can do it first of all by smoothing the surface. We know that if the surface is smooth, okay, then what will happen? The friction will reduce, right? Okay, it will become frictionless. Number two, using wheels. Now, a little bit ago, I showed you an example that if I keep a box on the surface and try to pull it, it will be very much hard to pull. But what if I fix wheel to this object? Now it will be very easy to pull, right? So you can see that by fixing wheels, we have reduced the friction. Then using lubricants. This is the mostly used in case of machinery friction, okay? Between two machinery parts, okay, due to high amount of friction, high amount of heat energy is produced. It's just very heated. So if you use lubricant, then what will happen? It will do two work. It will first cool down the machine, okay, as it is getting heated up. If you put the lubricant which is cold, so it will cool down, and then what will happen? We know that using petrol on any surface, it makes it slippery. আমরা জানি oil or any other lubricant, if it is used on any surface, it smooths the surface, right? Surface টাকে আরো smooth করে দেয়. It makes it more frictionless. Okay, so that's how we can reduce. নিখিলা, তুমি কিছু বলতে চাও?
Monday.
জানো না
কিছু বলতে চাও মিঠু নাকি নিখিলা? Then using ball bearing. Now ball bearing এর একটা পিকচার দেয়া আছে, তোমরা এই জিনিসটা প্র্যাকটিক্যাল লাইফে দেখে থাকতে হবে। বল বিয়ারিং যারা গাড়ি নিয়ে ঘাটাঘাটি করে তারা এটা খুব ভালো চিনার কথা। এই যে বল বিয়ারিং, it looks like this. This is called ball bearing. So if the upper surface wants to rotate in this way and the bottom surface wants to rotate in the another way, then using ball bearing we can make it very easily possible. Okay, so যারা বল বিয়ারিং তোমরা চাইলে একটু গুগলে বল বিয়ারিং দেখে সার্চ দিয়ে ইমেজটা আরো ক্লিয়ারলি দেখতে পারো। It's very nice. So ball bearing use করে we can reduce the friction. These are the ways to reduce. Now if I want to increase, then how can we do it? Okay, so you know, on the slippery road, I already told you that it's very hard to walk. So if I make my shoes with a spike, you know that the footballers, you know, use football boots under which there are spikes. Okay, maybe
Yes, sir. Yes, we know.
Yeah, we saw it.
really, you know, increase the friction on the slippery road. Okay, it makes the grip harder. Okay, I feel actually I should give this as an assignment to you. Okay, kindly, you know, not assignment, just do it as a homework. Write the answer of this. Okay, I have already just showed you that how to write the answer of this question, that friction is necessary evil, but I did not write the points for you. Kindly write the points. As a source, you can use the book or you can use Google. Okay, what are the advantages of friction? So from there, select 3, and disadvantage, select 3. Okay, write and send me. And then again, make another question, how to increase the friction. Okay, you can use the textbook as the source or you can, you know, Google it, but find out 4 ways of increasing the friction. Not details, just write, like I already told you, using wheels. Okay, you have to just write using wheels. Finish, 2 words, 1 point. Okay, so like that, find out 4 points, you know, on how to reduce the friction and 4 points on how to increase the friction. Okay, when you are done, alhamdulillah, we are done with this chapter, and I believe we have already solved what we have already solved. Creative, we have already solved
Sir,
creative.
can I ask?
So
Sir, can I ask you one question?
bolo.
Sir, what if the question why friction is called necessary evil comes as 2 marks question? How can we write that one? If it comes as 2 marks question. Sir, এটা তো অনেক বড় হয়ে যায়, 3 mark question এর জন্য লেখা যাবে। স্যার
এটা বড়।
অ্যাডভান্টেজ লিখলে একটু বড় হয়ে যাবে।
এটা তোমার কাছে বড় মনে হচ্ছে? জাস্ট কয়টা লাইন, একটা দুইটা তিনটা চারটা পাঁচটা ছয়টা লাইন লিখতে হবে, তাও ফুল সেন্টেন্স না। জাস্ট তোমাকে লিখতে হবে অ্যাডভান্টেজ অফ ফ্রিকশন। কি
ওকে।
ফ্রিকশন কি বলো, যে কোনো একটা অ্যাডভান্টেজ বলো। লাইক উই ক্যান ওয়াক, অ্যাডভান্টেজ অফ ফ্রিকশন লিখবে কি? উই ক্যান ওয়াক, তিনটা সেন্টেন্স, তিনটা ওয়ার্ড, একটা পয়েন্ট। উই ক্যান হোল্ড থিংস, সেকেন্ড পয়েন্ট। এভাবে করে করে জাস্ট ছয়টা লাইন লিখবা। এটা অনেক বড় মনে হচ্ছে তোমার কাছে?
ওকে স্যার, আন্ডারস্টুড। স্যার আমি
ছোট ছোট
ভাবছিলাম অনেক
point।
বড় করে লিখছেন।
না, ওভাবে এত বড় করে লিখতে হবে না, জাস্ট পয়েন্ট, মেইন পয়েন্ট গুলো লিখবা। Okay, so inshallah from the next class, I hope we can start work, power and energy, inshallah. Okay.
Okay, sir, inshallah.
Okay,
Okay.
sir.
See you in the next class. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum assalam.